All right, good morning, class. Let's start off by exploring the AutoCAD user interface, the AutoCAD screen, and just getting started with AutoCAD. So I've already launched AutoCAD here, and I want to start a new drawing. The way we're going to start a new drawing at the beginning of the class is we're just going to start it with the AutoCAD template. That's kind of the blank vanilla nothing going on template, and it's good to start with because it won't confuse any issues with some of the other features that we're going to talk about later. So to get started with the AutoCAD template, we're just going to go over here to our Get Started screen and come down here and select AutoCAD. Okay, you'll notice here, let's take a second, you'll notice here that the templates all have a DWT, T as in Tom, extension. You can see that AutoCAD.dwt. You can see down here some of the other ones, AutoCAD ISO 3D.dwt, tutorial MFG. This is for manufacturing metric DWT. Now you'll also notice down here that we have no template imperial and no template metric. So first of all, imperial implies or tells us that it's set up for inch drawings. Metric is set up for drawings in millimeters. What that really does is AutoCAD isn't a AutoCAD doesn't use inches or millimeters. AutoCAD is unitless. Units come into play only when you are going to be printing a drawing, and then you have to tell AutoCAD, okay, a drawing this size, I need to fit it on a sheet of paper that's 8.5 by 11, so this is how I want you to scale the drawing down or up to fit on the paper properly. So a couple things. So first of all, the no template imperial metric, that really just sets up the magnification scale for the drawing initially. So it doesn't really matter beyond that. The other thing that's interesting is AutoCAD's playing a little trick here. The AutoCAD template that I said that we could start with, or we were going to start with, is really the no template. Okay, so no template imperial and metric actually has a template to start with. It starts with the AutoCAD template. So there's a little bit of a trick that AutoCAD is pulling here, but in fact, let's go ahead and start with the AutoCAD template. So now we're at we see the drawing environment, the user interface, and I want to take a few minutes here to go through this because there's a lot of things going on. In this class, what I'm going to try to do is take you through in a progressive manner. So in other words, we're not going to jump into the deep end right away. So there's elements here on the user interface that we're going to ignore for the time being, because we're going to wade in and start with the more basic things and then work a little bit later on. So first of all, the user interface, the big area at the top here, this is the ribbon, okay? And there's a number of different ribbons, so to speak. So right now we're at the home ribbon. Then we have the insert, annotate, parametric, view ribbon, manage ribbon, output, add-ins, collaborate, so on and so forth. So you can see the ribbons here. So if I refer to, or you hear other people refer to the home ribbon or the annotate ribbon, that's what they're talking about. They're clicking on this tab across the top to open up the different ribbons. Okay, so the home tab will open up the home ribbon. parametric tab will open up the parametric ribbon, and so on and so forth. Okay, this is similar to other Microsoft-based software, so this might not be such a new thing to a few of you. Then each ribbon is made up of panels. Okay, so under the home ribbon, where we're going to actually spend most of our time and where you spend most of your time when you're drawing, under the home ribbon, we have the draw panel, we have the modify panel, annotation panel, layers panel, block panel, properties, groups, utilities, clipboard, and view. Now you will see these panels possibly in other ribbons. Okay, so the panels are not exclusive to the home ribbon. The panels can be manipulated and customized. So this is kind of the typical AutoCAD setup. What most people use is the default setup. So if we look a little bit further, each panel then is made up of the different commands. So under the draw panel, we have the line command, polyline command, circle, arc up here. Now notice that this is actually very helpful when you're learning AutoCAD. Notice that if I hover over a button, it's going to show me what that is. This is called a tooltip. All right. So if I'm curious, like up here, there's no name associated with that. So what the heck is that command? If I hover, oh, okay, that's the rectangle command. Notice also that if I hover and stay on it a little bit longer, it actually expands and gives me some additional information. So if I go to here, rectangle, and then if I stay on it, it's going to expand. And it kind of gives me a little bit of a tip on how to use that. Okay, some of these tooltips actually have animations. Let's see if I can find one. If I go to the offset command and expand, nope, no animation here. Not sure whether I'll have any luck finding an animation. All right, well, maybe we'll come across one in a little bit. But anyway, these are your commands right here. So we have the move command, rotate command, and if you want to see what the command is, maybe get a little bit more detail, then you can hover over it. Okay. By the way, I'm not clicking anything with the mouse, so I'll tell you when I'm doing that. I'm just moving the mouse right now. Going back to the panels here, you'll notice that we have a bottom area to each panel, right, with the name. And we have this little down arrow. The down arrow or triangle is to expand the panel. So the draw panel is not just what we see here with these 7 commands. If I click on this, we can actually see that there's more commands here, right? And if I hover over this, this is the helix command, right? If I hover over this one, this is the divide command, right? If I move off the expanded panel, it goes away, right? So I could click on that, move off, and it goes away. Click on modify, move off, and it goes away. Click on annotation. And you see this is a little bit more detailed with these drop-down boxes, all right? But I move off and it goes away, all right? If you're doing a lot of work in the expanded panel area, sometimes you like to make the expanded panel stay expanded. And to do that, we expand the panel, and then you see this little thumbtack right here, this thumbtack icon. If we click on that, notice how the expanded panel now stays because we've thumbtacked it down. And to make it go back away, just click on the thumbtack, and there we go. Okay. There's our ribbons and panels. Okay. We'll go into more of the commands later. All right. But let's move down a little bit. And we have the drawing tabs. Okay. So I talked about this in one of the previous videos. This is our start area. So whenever I want to start a new drawing, open an existing drawing, choose one of my recent drawings that I have, or do anything else, I can just click on the Start tab. the drawing is still here. So notice that with AutoCAD, I can actually have multiple drawings up and be working on them at the same time. So I could have another drawing, drawing 2 or drawing 3 or any other drawing name up here. Okay, we'll talk about this X. This X is for closing a drawing file, but we'll talk about that and use that in a second. Notice that we have a plus right here, and if I hover over that, again, the hovering, it says that that is a new drawing. So if I click on this, let's see what happens. If I click on this, it opens a new drawing. Now the question is, what template? I didn't choose a template. Well, when you start a new drawing this way, the template is always going to be the last one that you used. Okay, so in fact, the drawing 2 that I just opened is going to have the same template that I used for drawing 1, which in this case was the AutoCAD template. Okay, to close this drawing file, I could click on the X, and because I didn't do any work in it, it closed immediately. If I had done drawing in it, put some lines on the screen, then it would prompt me, hey, wait a second, before you close that, do you want to save it? All right, so but because I didn't do any drawing, it just closed it automatically. Okay, all right, so we have the drawing tabs up here, and we can have any number of these. Notice that as I hover over the drawing tabs, it's going to show me the different icons for the spaces. Now we're going to talk about this more in detail later. Okay, but right now, let's just understand that there are basically 2 areas that we can draw. There is model space and there is paper space. Okay, right now we're in model space, and you can see that because the blue box here is kind of highlighting that, and that's where we're drawing right now. This right here is model space. All right. I can go to the layout spaces, or excuse me, the paper space, and the paper spaces are called layouts. All right, so we have layout 1, which is paper space. We have layout 2, which is paper space. These are the areas that you want to go when you've finished your drawing and you're ready to print it out on a sheet of paper. Okay, now if we click on this, it's going to take us to the layout. Now I do want to show you down here, in the bottom left-hand corner, there is tabs for Model, Layout 1, and Layout 2. All right. So right now we're in Layout 1. If I want to go back to Model Space and do my drawing, or finish my drawing, or work on my drawing, I can click on the Model tab, and then we go back here. Okay. So hovering up here shows you the different tabs, or the different spaces, I should say: model space, paper space, layout 1, layout 2. I can also see them down here. I can go to layout 1, I can go to layout 2 here. Notice layout 1 and layout 2 are identical for this default AutoCAD or AutoCAD template. And I can go back to model. Okay, we're always going to do our drawings in model space. All right, that's what model space is for, doing your drawings. The layout tabs or paper space is used for getting your drawings set up to print. Okay, we're not going to get into that right now. For the first few drawings, we're actually going to stay in model space, just because once we get into paper space and the different layouts, it gets a little bit more complicated because we have to go into scaling and stuff. All right, so let's go back up to the top. Okay, so again, to reiterate, we have our ribbon. All right. Our ribbon is divided up into these different tabs, so a home ribbon, insert ribbon, annotate ribbon, parametric ribbon, and so on. The ribbons are made up of panels, right? Each panel has a set of commands. We can expand the panels, and we can make the expansion stick by clicking on the thumbtack or go away. If we hover over a command, it's going to give us a tooltip or a insight into what that is. All right. Then over here we have the different drawing tabs. So we have the Start tab and we have Drawing 1 tab, and we can open and close these as we need to. All right. Now let's go. Let's finish up on the top, because there's actually some really important stuff going on up here. First of all, this super important button. All right, the A button in the top left-hand corner. This is called the application menu. And we will actually use this a lot. Okay, so if I click on this, it opens up the area where we can start a new drawing, open an existing drawing, save as, where we change the format or the name, import, export, print, things like that. It gives us a list of our recent files that we were working on. It gives us a chance to close AutoCAD, close the drawings, close the whole program. You'll notice that that is a lot like this area right here, where we can start a new drawing, open an existing drawing, go to recent drawings. So in fact, this is a theme that we see a lot in AutoCAD, and that is redundancy. There is always different ways that we can get to the commands and to do different things. Okay, so if I want to go here and start a new drawing, boom, I can get started with a template right here, or I can open an existing drawing. I could also go to the application menu and do the same thing. Okay, so when in this class, a lot of what I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be showing you kind of the preferred way or the typical way that things are done. And I'm not going to take a lot of time going into the multitude of variations for how we can do this. Sometimes I will. Sometimes I'll show you, hey, you can do it this way or you can do it this way, and they both do the same thing. But other times I'm going to opt or default to show you the typical way to get things done. And I might mention there's another way to do this, and you can do it like this or like that. But what I'm interested in showing you in this class is kind of the typical way to get you drawing. And what invariably happens is, as you become more proficient, more experienced with using AutoCAD, you'll opt to your own preferred or more efficient or effective way of doing something. And that's just how AutoCAD users kind of deal with the multitude of variations that they can achieve their different commands and drawings with. All right, so we have the application menu up here. Super, super, super important. Okay, we just click on it to make it go away. I should also mention in the application menu, another super, super important area that I'll be talking about later is the options button. Okay, this is very important for setting up AutoCAD. Now, right out of the box, AutoCAD is going to be set up just like we want it, but there are going to be some variations, and I'm going to go through some of these, some things that are typical or preferred for getting started with AutoCAD, and we'll be using the options button in the application menu for doing that. Okay, now, last thing I want to talk about here on the left-hand side is this. This is called the Quick Access Toolbar. Okay, and basically this is, remember I just talked about this, this is another way to quickly access certain commands. Okay, so if I want to start a new drawing, notice that there's an icon for that command right here. All right, now remember, I could also start a new drawing here, right? I could start a new drawing here, okay? I could start a new drawing here. So again, that's at least what, 4 different ways to start a new drawing. We have 1, we have 2, we have 3, and we have 4 different ways to start a new drawing. I'm sure if I thought about it, there might be a couple more, but that's the Quick Access Toolbar is a toolbar for the commands that you are going to use over and over and over and over and over again. And you want to, basically you want to save clicks, all right? You don't want to have to click and then click, right? To get into this, click with the mouse. Instead, you just want to do it with one click, all right? So it's 50% faster, I suppose you could say. So we have the new drawing file, we have the open existing drawing file, we have the save, and we have the save as. Then we have some fancier stuff that we're actually not going to get into. This is mobile stuff, saving it to the web or the mobile. Here's one, print or plot. Print and plot, kind of the same thing. And then we have the undo command. All right, this is super helpful. We can customize this. All right, and I'm not really going to talk about customizing things, in this introductory class, but in case you accidentally click on this, or in case you're just curious, this button right here will allow you to customize the quick access toolbar, and you can see we can add different commands to it. Right? This is just your, the normal list of commands, and you can go, full on and add your own special commands and all that good stuff. All right. So we're not going to get into that. So let's see, quick access toolbar, moving across the top here. This tells us the version of AutoCAD that we're using right here. This is important because this tells us the drawing file name. So here I'm using drawing1.dwg, and you can see that's reflected right here in drawing1. All right. You'll notice the DWG extension. That is the normal extension for AutoCAD drawing files, DWG drawing file. Okay. Then we move across here. I'm not going to talk about much of the stuff over here. I think I already mentioned that if you sign in with your AutoCAD user account, your name should show up here. So that's what mine shows up here. But you don't have to do that when you're using AutoCAD for this class. All right, that's and actually we won't really do much with A360 or any of the online things, at least at this point. I don't think we will. Now this is kind of interesting, and I think a lot of new users forget about this or don't even know about it, but especially in an online class, this is important because you're going to be doing a lot of work without me around. In fact, you're going to be doing all of the work without me around. In some cases, you'll be watching videos that I've made. In other cases, we'll have live WebEx chats where I can do a live demo and you can ask questions and stuff. But the most of the time in this class, you're going to be working on your own. So how do you find information outside of me, outside of Canvas class? Let's say you're drawing. How are you going to find that information? Well, the first most excellent resource for finding information is Autodesk or the AutoCAD Help. So how do you get access to that? Well, this area right here, okay? So first of all, we can type in a command, right? If you have questions about, how do I draw a line? You can literally click right in here and type that in, all right? But maybe to get started, if you just click on this triangle, it's going to open up the AutoCAD drawing environment. Whoops, I'm sorry. Not the triangle. The binoculars. Sorry about that. If we click on the binoculars, it's going to open the AutoCAD Help screen. All right. Now, look at all the wonderful information that we have here. All right. We have videos that we can watch. All right. So here's a user interface overview. This is basically a shorter version of what I'm going through right now. We have quick reference for commands and shortcuts and all those things. We have different learning modes. I have a link to this in the Canvas site, the Hitchhiker's Guide to AutoCAD, and we can go to basics and view and geometry, and we can click on this. So this is an outstanding resource, especially while we're taking online classes. Okay, so I'm not going to go into any more detail here. I'm going to leave that up to you, but please don't forget about it. When you're trying to learn new commands and stuff, this is an excellent resource. We get there simply by clicking on the search, the binoculars right here. You can also type in a command. Let's say how to draw a line, and hit enter, and then it opens that up, and then it gives you some of this to draw lines. There we go. So we can click on that and it shows you everything. Personally, sometimes this is too detailed. Actually it gives me too many options here, but it's good once you kind of know what's going on and you want to go a little bit more in detail. Okay, so there's your help menu, and again, to get in here, we just click with the mouse. That's all we need to do for that. And then we'll ignore this right now. And then the last thing I want to talk about here before we take a break, and I'll rejoin in a second with the second half of this lecture, are these three buttons right here. For some of you, you already know what's going on with these buttons, but this is the minimize button, all right, to minimize the screen. This is the shrink down the screen, and then this is the X for closing AutoCAD. Okay, now this will actually close the AutoCAD program. All right, so that's another way to do it in addition to closing it here. Okay, so this does the same thing. All right, you'll see that there is an X down here and a little restore down in this. So this is not the same as this. This is for the drawing, the AutoCAD environment, the whole AutoCAD program. This is actually for the drawing one. All right, so if I go down here and I restore this down, it's going to allow me to shrink this down. All right, so now I'm still in drawing one in the drawing environment, but now you can see the start behind it. All right, this can get a little confusing, and so my only point here is to kind of show you so that you know not to really do this. I don't know anybody who you wouldn't want to draw like this. All right, maybe if you have multiple drawing files open, you want to see them all in one shot, then you can do that. So let's start a new drawing, and we'll start another new drawing over here. So I have 3 drawings open. Now I can restore this down. I can click on this and I can restore this. Let's go back down and let's kind of squeeze this over here. And now you can see, if for some reason I wanted to, I could open up multiple drawings and have them visible in this drawing environment. Again, I don't know why you'd want to do this, but sometimes I like to show you things that are kind of predicaments that you may find yourself, so that you know how to get yourself out. So if you find yourself in this predicament, don't fret. You just got to click either the X to close this drawing. Like, so drawing 3, I don't need open anymore, so I'm just going to close that. Drawing 4, I don't need that open, so I'm just going to hit X. Now this one, I don't want to draw with it like this. I want to maximize it, so I'm going to click on the maximize button right there and open that up. Okay? All right, so we're going to stop right there. I'm going to rejoin with a second video, and we're going to basically go through the lower part of the user interface from start and draw down. All right, so we'll talk about all this stuff on the right-hand side and this stuff on the left-hand side, and then all this good stuff down at the bottom. All right, so I'll see you in a second. Bye.